Hello and welcome to Around Kitsap. I'm Christina Bonney, your host. Did you know that there's a free aquarium in Poulsbo? Well, I recently had an opportunity to visit the center and sit down with their executive director, Patrick Muss. So when I first got here this morning, I was kind of looking around and I was asking one of your volunteers how many animals there are in an aquarium, and I said, well, I don't know, but I started thinking, now where do you guys, I mean, it's insane, because when you really look at, you know, all the things that are alive under the water, it's countless.
Yeah, it's almost infinite.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fascinating. But where do you get the animals?
Everything we have, excluding, we have a warm water tank in the back in the coloring room / early education room. Everything we have in the tanks is all indigenous of the area.
Okay.
So Colin and I, and that's the person you're talking to this morning, we go out and dive and we collect things.
Oh.
And we put them in the tank. So we have a special permit with a state that we have to log everything down. And some of these animals you see in these tanks are second and third generation. So they've been in here long enough to have babies.
They've procreated.
We've procreated.
Okay.
And so that's a good sign. That's a good sign of how well the volunteers or the whole place is taking care of everything.
Right.
So we go diving. We go scuba diving or shore collecting, and we have another volunteer that goes with us, and she helps us on the shore. And
wow.
so yeah,
so even for the more, you know, like the eels and things like that.
Diving.
Wow.
Diving, yeah.
That's fascinating.
It is fun.
How far down do you have to go for something like that?
Most stuff we find is about less than 50 feet.
Wow. Yeah, that's toe nibbling area.
Well, yeah, it is toe nibbling. But you know, that's in pretty much the photo zone where light can go down to.
Right.
And that's where we find most of the animals anyways, in that zone of light.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun.
Wow. I bet the kids are just oohing and ahhing when they hear about this, because I am right now.
Yeah, they find it pretty exciting. Well, yeah, a lot of kids are kind of oblivious because they don't experience it firsthand. They watch it on television or something like that. One of the things that would be nice for us to do is when we go diving is set up like a play date with kids. So Colin and Pat are going to go diving this day, and if you want to come and watch.
Oh, that would be
It would be cool. It would be cool, yeah. And have kids and their parents come out and watch. Yeah.
They'd take ownership over it.
Yeah, they certainly would, yeah.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
So we hope that they will take that and take that further on in life. So when they go out to the beach, they recognize that this is a crab and you can't step on crabs because they break. Or this is a sea anemone, you can't poke it in its, in the center of it because it'll hurt it. So there's a little bit of conservation involved in this also. Now, as far as the schools go, right now we're in the process of setting up a program, and that will go to the floating lab.
Floating classroom project. Okay.
Floating classroom project.
Perfect.
We have 15 different school districts signed up on the peninsula. That's including the Olympic Peninsula and this peninsula. Wow. To come in and a school will bring, 40 kids up here by bus. We'll help fund for that bus ride, and then we'll provide the teacher and the technician for the floating lab. What kids learn in the classroom is we'll take dissect squids, we'll compare and contrast different types of sea stars, we'll do observations of barnacles. There's many different things we can do in the classroom. And then half the children will be out in the floating lab, and what they'll be doing is they'll be learning about the physical properties of the water. Temperature, salinity, turbidity, the weather, weight underwater. We have a small video camera that goes underwater out there so we can see the stuff we have on the artificial reef, what grows out there. And we have microscopes so they can do plankton toes and identify plankton. So,
very interesting.
But it's not up and running as of yet.
Right.
We had 8 classes this last year. But due to funding and some other unforeseen circumstances, we haven't been able to get it up and running.
Right.
And this class, the whole idea behind this floating classroom and the classroom back there is not to reinvent anything in the schools. It's an augmentation
Right.
for kids that are in the science class, in biology, marine science, that they can come here and they can be exposed to this kind
They
of...
can experience
They can
it.
experience it.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not just, it changes from a desk and paper
Right.
and pencil to, now the floating, now you said the floating lab.
Floating lab.
Now tell us, now is this right out here? And this is a separate piece of your guys'
It's a separate, yeah, it is a separate building, but it is, the boathouse is out here in the bay. A gentleman donated half to us.
Wow.
And we had to pay for the other half. We went in and stripped it all out
Okay.
of the boat stuff, put in a new deck, put in new cross beams, put in a whole bunch of safety items because we have kids out there, put in a bunch of stainless steel benches, microscopes, and to open it up. I mean, to open it up to a legitimate classroom.
Wow.
So
okay.
there's a hole in the center kids can drop instruments in and pick water out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It is pretty unique.
That's awesome.
It is.
And that's impressive. I mean, you said that, you guys are, it's not moving as quickly as
Yeah.
you wanted, but nothing ever does. But
Well, yeah.
15 school districts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
really something.
It is.
And have them all be going for coming here into Poulsbo and
And the idea is that once we get it up and running, it'll be 4 days a week or 5 days a week.
wow.
So we'll have kids
You
in
guys
here.
are going to be busy. Yeah.
Very, very much so.
That's
Yeah.
great.
It is great.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. So it would be like a day-long field trip for the students.
Yeah, day
Part
long,
day.
yeah. A whole day, really, because of travel time and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So now, right now, you are kind of the one-man show as far as being the only official staff
I'm the
member
only
of the
staff
aquarium.
member, you're right.
But then it's ran completely by
By
volunteers.
And there's almost 30, we have almost 30 volunteers.
Wow.
So we have engineers, we have scientists, we have homemakers, we have students that are in school, grade school and high school or junior high. We have age differences from 12 up to, I think Liz is about close to 90
Wow.
volunteer here. And they come in on a weekly basis and do their 2.5 hours, whatever, help clean up, and then they go home.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So out of all your volunteers, how many hours would you say there's actually of work is done on this center on a weekly basis?
On a weekly basis,
Just, what does it take to run the place? I mean,
what does it take to run the place? For the volunteers, it takes 4 times, that's 16 hours for the volunteers. And my time is about 60 hours a week.
Yeah, I was going to say,
It's about 60
you're a
hours
little
week.
more than full-time. Yeah.
Well, not only do I take care of this place, I also do the web page.
Right.
I try to do the publishing for the flyers.
You do television interviews.
Do television. I'm involved with projects with the state for local dive maps,
Funding and,
funding, and all,
That's
yeah,
a fun
all sorts
piece.
of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, very interesting.
And you mentioned something earlier about
Uh-huh.
the place being free. One of the
Yeah.
reasons why there's no entrance cost to coming in this place is because this is for the public.
Right.
This is for education. Education is paramount above monies or anything else. So if we have a place like this that's accessible to people, we want it accessible to everybody.
Absolutely.
So if there's a sailor or somebody comes in here and they have enough money for lunch or come to the Science Center, I'd rather have them have lunch and come to the Science Center.
Right.
And enjoy the whole day.
Absolutely.
People do donate. I've seen donations range from $200-300 a donation to kids a quarter, a penny. The donations are help fund the electricity part of it, the lights, keeping
Right.
the place running, buying parts for new exhibits, but it's also a token of how well we are doing
Right.
serving the community.
Absolutely.
So if we have docents that spend an extraordinary amount of time with people, and those people, they generally 99.99% of the chance to appreciate it,
Right.
then they will give a larger donation.
Right.
Or they will give a heartfelt donation.
Right.
Versus somebody walking in and wanting to use the restroom and leaving a quarter in the box and wandering out, which happens too.